Imagine raising a son with hopes and dreams, only to see him taken from you in the most violent way possible. Imagine carrying the weight of that tragedy for decades, fighting to keep his name alive while battling the pain of loss every single day. This was the life of Voletta Wallace, the mother of legendary rapper Notorious B.I.G. Now. After years of strength, resilience, and an unbreakable love for her son, Voletta Wallace has taken her final breath. Her passing marks the end of an era, not just for her family, but for the hip-hop world that saw her as a guardian of Biggie's legacy. Her funeral was more than just a farewell. It was a gathering of those who respected and admired her. Family, close friends, and hip-hop legends came together to pay tribute to a woman who never let her son's name fade. But what really happened in her final days? Who were the people that stood by her side? And what legacy does she leave behind? Let's take a deep look into the life, impact, and final moments of Voletta Wallace. Voletta Wallace was more than just the mother of one of the greatest rappers in history. She was a symbol of love, strength, and resilience. Born in Jamaica, Voletta moved to Brooklyn, New York, in search of a better life. She worked as a teacher, dedicating herself to education while raising her only son, Christopher Wallace, whom the world would later know as the Notorious B.I.G. Raising a child in Brooklyn during the 80s was not easy, especially in a neighborhood surrounded by crime and violence. Voletta worked tirelessly to provide a good life for her son. She was strict, ensuring Biggie stayed in school and away from trouble. But despite her efforts, the streets called, and Biggie found himself drawn into the world of hip-hop. When Biggie's talent became undeniable, Voletta, despite not understanding rap music at first, supported his dreams. She may not have known much about hip-hop, but she knew that her son was destined for greatness. However, her world shattered in 1997 when, at just 24 years old, Biggie was gunned down in Los Angeles. For any mother, the loss of a child is an unbearable pain. But for Voletta, the tragedy was even more cruel. Her son was murdered in a case that remains unsolved to this day. But instead of letting grief destroy her, she turned it into strength. She became the voice that demanded justice. She refused to let her son's name be reduced to just another rapper lost to violence. She built his legacy, kept his music alive, and turned her pain into purpose. And now, after years of fighting, she has reunited with her son. The funeral of Voletta Wallace was an emotional and deeply personal event. Held in a private ceremony, it brought together close friends, family members, and some of the biggest names in hip-hop who had always admired her. Reports suggest that the ceremony was attended by legends like Diddy, Jay-Z, and Lil' Kim, artists who had not only worked with Biggie but had also shared a bond with his mother. The atmosphere was filled with grief, but also immense respect. As Voletta's casket, adorned with beautiful white flowers, was carried in, the room fell into silence. It was a moment of reflection, one that reminded everyone of the strength this woman had carried for so long. One of the most powerful moments of the funeral was the reading of a heartfelt letter written by Biggie's daughter, Tiana Wallace. In the letter, she expressed her love and gratitude for her grandmother. "Grandma, you were my hero. You carried Dad's legacy with so much grace. You taught me what strength looks like. Now you are finally with him again. And I know he's smiling because he has his mother by his side once more." These words touched everyone in attendance, and many were seen wiping away tears. Voletta Wallace was not just Biggie's mother. She was a mother figure to the hip-hop community. Over the years, she had built strong relationships with many artists, producers, and industry insiders who respected her for her unwavering dedication to her son's legacy. Diddy, who had played a major role in launching Biggie's career, spoke at the funeral and said, "Ms. Wallace was a queen. She taught us what strength looks like. She carried the pain of losing her son and turned it into power. We owe it to her to keep Biggie's name alive forever." artists from different generations paid their respects. Nas, a longtime admirer of Biggie, wrote on social media, "She was a warrior. Rest in power, Ms. Wallace. You reunited with the king." Nicki Minaj, Drake, and even international artists joined in, proving just how deep her influence was. Beyond the rap world, fans also took to social media to share their condolences. Thousands of people shared their memories of watching Voletta Wallace speak about her son in documentaries, interviews, and award shows. With Voletta Wallace's passing, a significant chapter in hip-hop history comes to an end. But her legacy remains. She ensured that her son's music, story, and memory would never fade. Through the years, she worked tirelessly to protect his name, taking legal action when necessary, and speaking out whenever someone tried to distort Biggie's legacy. Her work with the Christopher Wallace Memorial Foundation helped provide educational opportunities for underprivileged kids. She was also involved in the making of Notorious, a film that told Biggie's life story, and the Netflix documentary Biggie, I Got a Story to Tell. Her message was clear. Her son was more than just a rapper. He was a visionary, a poet, and a cultural icon whose impact would last forever. And now, as she rests, her fight, her love, and her strength will continue to inspire generations. Beyond the public appearances and interviews, Voletta Wallace carried a silent battle within her heart. Losing Biggie was not just about losing a son. It was about losing a future that she had dreamed of for him. She had envisioned him growing older, watching his children grow, and continuing to change the world with his music. But instead, she was left with unanswered questions, legal battles, and a never-ending fight for justice. Despite this, she never let her pain break her. Even in her final years, she continued to advocate for Biggie's legacy. She worked closely with documentary filmmakers, spoke at memorial events, and ensured that her son's impact would never be forgotten. She remained a symbol of resilience, reminding the world that a mother's love never fades, even in death. With Voletta Wallace's passing, it feels like the final link to Biggie's early life has been severed. She was his foundation, his first protector, and his biggest supporter. Now, as she takes her place beside him, it is up to the hip-hop community and fans to carry forward the legacy she fought so hard to preserve. Her story is one of pain, but also of power. She turned grief into a mission, heartbreak into activism, and loss into a legacy. The question now is, who will step up to continue her work? Will Biggie's story remain as powerful without his mother's voice behind it? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain. Voletta Wallace may be gone, but her strength, her love, and her legacy will live on forever. Voletta Wallace and Biggie shared a bond that even death could not weaken. Though their lives took different paths, one as a dedicated school teacher and the other as a rap legend, the love between them remained unshaken. In every interview, Voletta spoke about her son with pride, not just for his success, but for the kind-hearted boy she raised. She saw beyond the fame and controversy, and always reminded the world that Biggie was first and foremost a son, a father, and a human being. Even in her last days, those closest to her say she often spoke about being reunited with Biggie. Perhaps now, after decades of longing, she has found the peace she never truly had on earth. The mother and son who were torn apart too soon are finally together again, side by side, in a place where no tragedy can touch them. As the world says, goodbye to Voletta Wallace. One thing remains certain: her influence will never fade. She was not just the mother of a rap icon. She was a warrior who kept his story alive against all odds. Her strength inspired countless others, proving that love and legacy can outlive even the greatest tragedies. Now, it is up to fans, artists, and future generations to honor her fight. Biggie's music still plays, his words still resonate, and his story still matters because of her. And as the world remembers her, One can only imagine Biggie himself welcoming her with open arms, whispering, "We made it, Ma." Now the question remains, how will the world remember Voletta Wallace? Will she be remembered only as the mother of the notorious B.I.G.? Or will she be seen as a symbol of strength for all mothers who have lost their children too soon? She was a woman who refused to let tragedy define her. Instead, she turned pain into purpose. But what do you think? Do you believe Voletta Wallace got the justice she spent decades fighting for? And how will hip-hop continue to honor both her and Biggie's legacy? Let us know your thoughts.